Bishop Brigante is a Toronto legend. If you aren't from the 6, or maybe you're not old enough to remember, you might not have an understanding, but he's nothing short of a legend. He might have been the first to beat Jin on camera, and probably the only one to beat him actually spitting off the top. He was one of the first few rappers from Toronto to have an international presence, including with the help of his patented swindling and a little help from Swave Seva. He became the first Canadian to make it to 106 and Park Freestyle Friday, where first and foremost he completely clowned his opponent by rapping during his opponent's round while his opponent choked, and he even dapped up Cameron while doing it, and he even hit a Harlem Shake. That's just an amazingly hilarious thing to do, and kind of shows you a little bit of insight into the spirit of Bishop Brigante. Sadly, a couple weeks later, he was completely cooking some poor woman, and then he got disqualified. BET claimed he swore. He claims he didn't. BET actually censored the footage, so it's a little bit up in the air, but I'll take Bishop's word for it. But this ultimately cut his stint as champion way too short, and that's something that still bothers me to this day, because we got robbed of Bishop versus Backlund. To me, this is one of the ultimate what-ifs of battle rap history. I also loved Backlund and would have loved to see those two go head-to-head, so I'm probably always going to be a little salty about that, but I will shout out Wheezy, who was judging that he got disqualified for being in Bishop's corner and saying that Bishop didn't swear. So you can judge for yourself and make your own mind on that. I'll leave links in the description for those battles. But to a young kid who was obsessed with Freestyle Friday, to see one of our own get in there and do his thing was just amazing to see. Even though New York and Toronto are geographically quite close, this just didn't seem like a bridge that could be gapped for whatever reason. And that might sound crazy to some people watching this, but this was just a completely different era. And here in Canada, we felt so much more isolated than we do now. Even if we fast forward to the written era, other than hosting, Bishop held his own against Pass. He bodied Cicero, and he edged out Arsenal at a time when Arsenal wasn't losing very many battles at all. It's important to remember the era that Bishop came up in. This was the time when Toronto wasn't really on, per se, on an international level. We had a lot of great talent. Cardinal, Chauclair, Maestro, Chaos, Thrust, the list goes on, but it kind of felt like we lacked the eyeballs and attention of international hip-hop fans. But Bishop was one of very few who were actually bumping elbows with established legends of the game at a time when it didn't really seem possible. Nate Dogg, Crooked Eye, Snoop, just to name a few, and he inspired many young artists coming up in this area by doing so, showed us what could be possible for kids from Toronto. He went on to record tracks with other artists like Drake, MC Lyte, Sticky Fingers, Snack the Ripper, among many others. He was always a hustler and an enterpriser. His clothing brand, The Ends, is only getting more popular. You see people repping The Ends everywhere in the culture. He's an actor, works side along legends like Ray Liotta. He hosted a show with fellow battle rap pioneer D-Rect on Rap Grid called Organized Culture, and his own called Risk and Rewards. His hustle, grind, ambition has always been nothing short of admirable and never in question. But beyond his music, his battles, his business ventures, one thing that always stuck out to me about Bishop was how highly other people and rappers in the culture spoke of him. Whether it was battlers who were booked to battle on King of the Dot, or a superstar like Drake, I never heard anyone have a bad word to say about him. Really gave me the impression that he always had people's best interest in mind and looked out for people, and I always really respected that about him. The only place you might see people talk shit about him was in the YouTube comments, which is pretty typical, and I think a lot of it, for whatever reason, came from people not understanding his slogan. But Bishop never took it personal, never lashed out. He never even seemed to pay any mind. He just kept being himself, kept pushing forward, and handled anything that came his way with poise and grace, including colorectal cancer. In October of 2023, Bishop got his diagnosis, and the way he's handled his fight so far has been beautiful and inspirational. He's tackled it head-on with the same warrior spirit he's always shown. As of recording this right now, he's through 10 rounds of chemo. Not only that, he's making real headway, he's making real tangible change in this world. As of right now, a petition he started is nearing 30,000 signatures to lower the age of screening for a colonoscopy. And this has actually reached Canadian lawmakers. You want to talk about a legacy? Speaking of legacy, one of his music projects was called Legacy, and Legacy was a common touchstone of his interviews. Bishop has left a legacy across the freestyle era, the written era, music, streetwear, gambling, fatherhood, and now he continues to just build on that legacy as he battles cancer. He's on his way to making history across every single thing that he touches. And that makes him not only a Toronto legend, not only a Canadian legend, but just a goddamn legend in general. And this is a battle where I'll pull him for Bishop to 3-0. You got this, King. So please, if you're watching this and you haven't signed the petition, please do. Links in the description. If you already have, thank you. If you're feeling extra generous, you can make a donation. There'll be a link for that as well. If you do that, you're an absolute fucking legend just like him. If you're looking for some new gear, now's a great time to support the ends. Rip where you're from, man. And if by chance you're watching this before the 22nd of March and you're in the 6th, you should come through for a screening of Narc to help raise funds for the man and check out his big screen debut. If you're still watching this, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you for giving me the time of day. Be good to each other, man. Much love. Peace.